Hello, my good friends, and welcome back to the channel. Just a second, setting my audio correctly. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Oliver, and on this channel we talk about education and early career development in Finland. And if you're new to these weekly or these live streams, basically these weekly Q&A live streams, or during these live streams, I answer your most burning questions about studying, living and working in Finland. And how these live streams actually work is that if you want me to answer your questions live, please post your question into the Google form that I have linked in the description box below. The reason why we do it this way is simply because sometimes the live streams, the live chat gets quite busy, and it's very difficult for me to follow along with the chat while I'm trying to explain things to you live. So again, if you want your questions to be answered live, please post your questions into the Google form, which is in the description box down below. Before we actually jump into the first questions, we have a few questions left from last week. I will actually post a link to the live into our Discord server. And if you're not yet a member of our Discord server, I highly recommend that you consider joining. The idea of the server is to build a community of people interested in living, studying and working in Finland. And in the server, we have a bit more personal dialogue about all of these topics, as well as I also post updates about upcoming videos and live streams there as well. Anyway, before we jump into the first questions, just saying hey to everyone. Eternal Buzz, what's up? Welcome back. Muhammad Sabur Ahmed, welcome back once again. We have Space Station, what's up? Welcome to the stream. We have Marina, welcome to the stream as well. Guys, you know the game, you know the tricks. So if you have a question, link to the Google form in the description box below. Do know that I do have some questions left from last week, so I will start with those in kind of a rapid fire pace, but then I will jump to this week's questions as fast as possible. So if you want to get a chance to get your question answered this week, I would recommend that you post your question into the Google form right away. Hey Vimotion Monty, what's up? Welcome to the stream again. I'm actually doing pretty well. Thank you so very much for asking. Hopefully you're doing good as well. All right, let's jump into the, let's see, whoops, not there. There you go. Let's jump into the first questions. Again, these are from last week, and the first one comes from Aniket Bhutani, who comes from India and is applying to Aalto University doing his master's in engineering in the next application period. And the question is, I'm pursuing my last year of bachelor's, and my bachelor's will be completed in May 2022. So my question is, do I need to apply for a master's in Finland now, or in 2021, or in 2022? Asking this question again. Yeah, so that's actually a good question. So basically, if your degree is going to be ending and you will receive your degree certificate from your bachelor's degree next year, so 2022 in May, then you would need to apply in the 2022 application period, basically meaning that you would then apply starting in December, ending in January. So that's between 2021 2022. So the master's degree application period in Finland is always between December and January. So that's basically when you apply for the next year's intake. So basically, if you want to study in 2020, if you want to start your studies in September 2022, then you would need to apply in the period which starts in December 21 and ends in January 22. Chris, what's up? Welcome to the stream, man. Awesome to have you here again. Hope you're doing awesome. The next question comes from Ni from Vietnam, and Ni is starting school this semester at the Tampere University, studying her bachelor's in science and technology. Awesome. And the question is, should I bring a router or a Wi-Fi router into Finland, or could I buy it in a second-hand market? Could you recommend me some second-hand websites in Finland? Thank you very much. Hope you and your channel will get more subscribers. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I'm of course not a I'm of course not a network engineer, so I cannot be 100% certain, but my suggestion would be not to bring your Wi-Fi router into Finland, simply because there might be some local default settings or some some things that might block you from using your router here. So I would actually buy a router from Finland, and I would actually not buy them second hand. I would actually never buy almost any electronics except, for example, a phone or something like this, second hand if they're refurbished. But do note that routers in Finland are very cheap, so you can get a solid router for yourself with just maybe 20, 30 euros or so. So I would not buy one, or I would not bring your router from Vietnam to Finland. I would rather buy one here. Again, I would not recommend any secondhand shops, but the one place that I use myself when I buy my electronics is actually called verkkokauppa.com. It's the biggest electronics online store in Finland, a really, really good store, and they have everything you need. They do have stores in... They don't have a store in Tampere, but you can order the products from their online store, and they have very, very quick delivery. So I would highly recommend using Verkkokauppa. Great. The next question comes from Lala, who comes from Malaysia and is starting school this semester, doing her bachelor's degree in technology at the Metropolia University of Applied Sciences. And there's a bunch of questions here, so let's take these one by one. Number one. Any places recommended for me to visit and souvenirs that I should buy before flying back? Go to Lapland, especially during the winter. Go to Hanko, which is the southernmost tip of Finland. It's in the west south corner of Finland. Highly, highly recommended, especially during the summer season. It's lovely. It's basically the Riviera of Finland. Don't go there during the winter. It's completely dead. So Hanko during the summer, Helsinki and the Finnish archipelago, beautiful, beautiful during the summer. Lapland during the winter, and then there's a bunch of cities that you should visit. For example, Vaasa is beautiful. It's a coastal city. Turku is a beautiful city as well. But not really. I don't have any big tourist attraction recommendations really to give you. Any kind of souvenirs. Finnish candy, actually. Finnish candy is awesome. I highly recommend buying Finnish candy. Licorice, unless you are a bit squeamish about those kind of things. Then second question, any other methods for exchange students to make a payment except using euro as cash? The home country's credit card or debit card. So we do have multiple ways of actually paying. So cash is actually pretty rare in Finland nowadays. While most places do still accept cash. For example, many student cantinas or student restaurants where you actually go to eat your student lunch, they don't actually accept cash anymore. So what I recommend you to do is to either have a credit card or debit card that actually works abroad, or try to get a bank account here and get some kind of a debit card here. Or then if you are able to somehow, for example, utilize Apple Pay or Android Pay, those work really well as well, almost anywhere. So if you can connect your card into Apple Pay or Android Pay, or what is it called? I think it's Android Pay. It should work. It might be that if your Apple Pay is connected to a card that does not work in Finland, you might have some issues. But debit card, credit card, perfect. Most people in Finland use those anyways, so that's good. Then 3, any method for me to have the cheapest money, methods for me to spend less money as possible on traveling in Finland. Make sure to get a student card so that you can actually utilize the student discounted railway tickets as well as bus tickets. So basically all public transportation is discounted in Finland if you have a student card. So that's the number one thing. Then in addition, there are some, if you for example go to, I talk about this quite often. So Frank is the company that actually provides student cards in Finland. It's not sponsored, but everyone gets their student cards from there. And if you actually go to discounts from the top here, and then, for example, just look at, let me see. Where's all the, check more discounts, and then you just check out, for example, travel. you have, for example, shipping, trains, you have hotels, you have trains, you have hotels.com, you have international student cards, etc. So there's actually a lot of student discounts on travel that you can also use if you want to travel not only inside of Finland but also in Europe. Then 4, how is the study environment in Metropolia University of Applied Sciences? Hard to say. They actually just finished up a new campus before the COVID situation. So I've never been there myself. My girlfriend has been there a few times because she's doing her second degree there. But I don't know. I've never been there. 5. Do sauna, gym, laundry, are saunas, gyms, and laundry still open during the COVID-19 pandemic in Haas? Actually, we're already kind of going past that. So yes, the saunas, gyms, and laundry rooms have all been open, or gyms have not been open the entirety of the pandemic, but they're all open already, and the society is actually opening up really, really rapidly. So the government just today relaxed some of the more heavy restrictions again. So again, as I mentioned last week, I don't want to go into the details about what kind of things are restricted, because those things are going to change on a daily basis. So I don't want to have anyone watching this a month from now and hearing misinformation. But what I can say here is that when I walk around the streets now, the only thing that I kind of see different from a normal situation is that people wear masks when they go indoors. That's basically the only big thing. Then restaurants have to close a bit earlier than normal. So we're almost back to normal. Then question 6, what is the minimum spend per month in Finland? There's no such thing as a kind of minimum spend or minimum budget in Finland. However, you need to have at least 560 euros per month as a student in Finland, and that's actually required by the Finnish Immigration Service. My recommendation is that especially if you come as an exchange student, you should maybe think about having around 800 euros per month to spend, because this will allow you to travel a bit more, have fun. Because if you have the minimum amount that the Finnish Immigration Service requires, that will not give you too much flexibility in terms of what you want to do. And then lastly, what is a European's or Finns perception of Asian students? Extremely positive. I have absolutely nothing to say negative about Asian students. Actually, many Finnish people actually are very, very curious about Asia as a an area, because we mostly travel in Europe and for example in the US or in America on our holidays. So actually a lot of people never go to Asia. So that's why we, for example, love to discuss with Asians, because it's very interesting to hear about the local culture and everything having to do with Asia and Asians. So very positive. Cool. Before I jump into the next question, let's just say hey to everyone who just joined. Arash, what's up? We have Sardon Beck, welcome to the stream as well. We have Aditya, welcome man back to the stream. Awesome to have you here. We have Hugh, actually saying, hi Oliver, any tips on contacting potential employees after I complete the job application? Like specific questions that show my interest, even though the description of the position is clear. Thanks. Yeah, this is actually a very good question, and I will answer this even though it's in the chat. I would not recommend contacting the employer unless you have a very specific reason for doing this, because you have to understand that HR people and recruiters, they know what is going on when people call them. They know that most people just want to, be able to say, hi, I'm applying, remember me, please. So no, don't do it unless you have a very specific reason to. If you have to make up questions, don't call, because they will see through that. If you have however, if you have actual real good questions about the position, the team, your the structure of the company, or how everything works, and for example, what kind of a career trajectory you could have in the company, I'm not saying that you should ask about this, but if you have any actual real questions that you're pondering, then you can call. However, if you have to make up questions in order to call, don't do it, because the HR people are going to see through that. Remember that they, within a year, someone can actually interview hundreds of people, meaning that they get hundreds and hundreds of calls, and they know every trick in the book. And if you call just to call, they will know this, and it might actually reflect negatively on you in the process. So don't do it unless there's actually a good reason for it. Really good question though. Very, very good question though. Then we have Tsai Lord. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Yes, I have actually jumped into the questions. I do have a few questions from last week, so I'm kind of trying to go through those in a rapid fire method to get to the questions this week. And then we have Agiles Buddha. Welcome to the stream. I hope you saw my comment. Sorry for being a bit late myself. Technical difficulties. And then we have Sufyan Onami. Welcome again. Awesome to have you here again. Cool. Let's jump back into the form. So the next question comes from Abrar Ahmed, who comes from India and is starting school this semester at the University of Applied Sciences, Metropolia, doing his master's in civil engineering. And the question is, hi, and thanks for your videos. You're welcome. Please name a few student housing services in Helsinki region other than HOAS. Also, what is the average rental cost for student living in Finland in the Helsinki region? First of all, there's no average price for living in Helsinki because the sizes of the apartments and the types of the apartments vary quite heavily. However, if you don't really mind having if you don't mind having a smaller apartment, you can easily get a room in a shared apartment or a very small studio from between 400 and 600 euros. That should be totally fine for you. For example, me and my girlfriend, we actually have a 49 square meter apartment, 2 rooms. And it's in a very good location, and we pay a bit over 800 euros for that together. So that's, that gives you a bit of perspective. But 400 to 600 euros, if you have reserved something like that, you will be just fine. Then about other student housing services, student housing providers in Helsinki other than HOAS. You don't really have other options because most of the other options are specifically from other student unions. So university student unions have also apartments like the University Student Union and the Helsinki University Student Union. Both of those have apartments that they rent, but they only rent them for their own students. So HOAS is the only big student apartment provider in the Helsinki region that it actually serves everyone. So unfortunately, there's actually not that many things right now. There's not that many providers available. Anyway, the next question comes from Krayan from Malaysia, and Krayan is starting school this semester also at Metropolia, and she's going to be doing her bachelor's in technology. And there's a couple of questions here. Number 1, may I have your help to reach Pongfinity, which is one of the Finnish table tennis YouTube channels. Hope my wish could come true with your help. I've never actually heard of Pongfinity, so I'm not going to be of any help here, unfortunately. I would recommend that you simply try to find the person behind the channel and reach out to them in a respectable manner. If they have a contact email in their video descriptions, use that. Or if they have another social media channel from where you can send a DM, do that. But also do remember that they might not reply to every request. Also, again, I have no idea about the channel. I most likely don't know the people behind it, so I will be of no help with you or for you in this matter, unfortunately. Second, since you are in Finland for a long time, I'm actually a Finnish citizen, so I've lived here my entire life. Can I ask, how would you comment about Helsinki? What are the things that Helsinki needs to improve? Medical system, transportation system, what are the common challenges or problems that most of the Finnish university students or international students face? So the medical system is in Finland we have a public medical or healthcare system, so it's actually not only Helsinki based. The entire national system has been divided into larger or smaller areas. However, Helsinki is just a small part of the big southern Finnish medical kind of centralized area. So the public healthcare system here works really well. Of course, you have to remember also that university students in Finland are allowed to use the FSHS or the Finnish Student Healthcare Service services. This requires that you actually pay your student healthcare service fee before you actually come to Finland. So FSHS is the Finnish Student Health Service, and this is exclusively for university and University of Applied Sciences students, and they have brilliant healthcare services. Do you know that they do not have hospitals, so they only have services like there you go. You can actually see what they do here. But for example, if you need to be operated on, if you get into an accident, you will be then brought to a public hospital because FSHS does not have hospitals per se. So FSHS is absolutely awesome. I'm actually going to one of their points, service points tomorrow to have something done, and it's great. It's super cheap, and the level of quality is absolutely awesome. Then transportation system in Helsinki is actually really good. It's one of the best in the world, I would say. It's first of all, it works really well. It's with a Finnish persistency, but it's basically as good as what Germans have. They're almost always on time. We have trains, trams, we have a metro, and we have bus networks as well. And then in addition, during the summer, we actually have city bikes, which are really nice. So that's really good. What I would say about Helsinki, what we would need to improve here is the what should it? I think excuse me. I think that the city of Helsinki would actually need to add more sports services, especially closer to the center. So, for example, if you've ever played ice hockey, I used to play ice hockey when I was younger. If you play ice hockey, football, or something like this, there's actually not that many places in the proximity of the center of Helsinki. Of course, Helsinki is a big city, but if you live near the center, there's actually not that many options. So you actually have to go outside of the city center mostly. So I would say that would be one thing. Then I would actually like to see more, smaller independent restaurants, bars in Helsinki. Many of the bars and restaurants in Helsinki, even though this has improved during the last years, last 10 years or so, many of the bars and restaurants belong to a certain chain or certain chains, which means that for example, the drinks are the same, the food is the same. However, I think that the food culture, beer culture, drink culture in Finland and in Helsinki has improved during the last 8 or 10 years. Well, actually during my own studies, which is really awesome. The most common challenges for students, I would say that it's mostly, dependent on the person. It's very difficult for me to say. I would say that managing your time, managing your relationships, and yeah, that's it basically. Sorry, I might not have been what you were looking for. What's up, Kira? Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here. The next question comes from Lala, who comes from Malaysia as well, and is also starting her school, doing a bachelor's in technology at the Metropolia University of Applied Sciences. And the question is, any recommended part-time jobs for exchange students only using a study residence permit? Working at a cafe, at a restaurant, at a bar, doing some very basic stuff. Actually, food delivery is very popular nowadays. It pays relatively okay, but the biggest positive is that you can actually define your own working hours, and you get to be outside a lot. So that's kind of cool. I think those would be my kind of number one recommendations. And the further you get in your studies, then of course I would recommend that you actually move towards jobs that are in your field. Let's see. We have also, I think we have Ashik. Welcome, Ashik, as well. Selin, what's up? Welcome to the stream as well. Ashik is actually asking in the chat, any idea when everything will be updated for the 2022 winter semester application period? All of the universities have information from this year's application period. For example, the application deadlines are of December 2020. Yeah, this is actually a good question. My estimate, I don't know for sure, but my estimate based on experience is that the information is going to be updated somewhere around December. I'm sorry, not December, September. So that gives you a few months to kind of figure out the information before the application period starts in December. However, during the summer, the universities are very busy, admitting new students, getting them up to speed and to Finland. So it's most likely that it will take up to September, October-ish, maybe, for the information to be updated. Abdullah bin Amir asking, do you play ice hockey, Oliver? Yes, I did. I used to play ice hockey for over 10 years. So basically throughout, primary school, secondary school, and high school. But then I decided at the end of high school, when before we had our high school finals, I actually had to kind of make a decision whether I wanted to pursue ice hockey as not as a you know not as a profession, but more seriously. So basically, I would need to have started to compete, but I wanted to focus more on school, so I actually quit playing ice hockey at the end of high school, so that I could actually focus on my finals. Love the game, and of course, ice hockey is basically the national game in Finland. So that's you really need to get used to it when you're staying here. You're gonna hear a lot about it, especially during the winter. Anyway, the next question comes from Ere from Bulgaria, and Ere is applying to the Jyväskylä University to do his master's in English language and linguistics. That's cool. And the question is, I'm planning to study and work part-time in Jyväskylä, and I have 5,000 euros of savings for my master's. I will use that money to cover my rent for 2 years. Excellent. And how hard is it to find a part-time job in Jyväskylä as a student? And if I work part-time, would this money be enough to cover my other expenses? So that's actually a good question. And you have to remember that that in order to get a residence permit in Finland, you need to have at least 560 euros per month for your living costs. So basically, if you, and this is, actually, I'll just show it to you on Migre's website just to so that I don't screw this up. So actually, Migre, you can see that I've been using these links quite a lot. So Migre, which is the Finnish immigration service, they say that it is your responsibility to ensure that you have sufficient financial resources for living in Finland. It is difficult for students to find jobs in Finland in general, especially in the beginning when you've just arrived. When you apply for your first residence permit for studies, you cannot secure your income with work. What this means is that when you actually apply for your first residence permit, you can basically apply for a residence permit for 1 year or 2 years at a time, and then you have to renew it, right? And when you apply for your first residence permit, doesn't matter whether it's for 1 year or 2 years, you need to have enough money on your bank account so that you don't have to rely on work, or you cannot. Migri will not allow you to rely on work. They will not give you a residence permit. So what this means is that you, according to Migri, you need to have at least 560 euros at your disposal every single month to be able to pay for your accommodation, so rent, food, and other needs, travel, school stuff, etc. So 560 euros times 12 is 6,720 euros per year. So you need to have at least this amount of money on your bank account when you apply for your first residence permit. So you mentioned that you have 5,000 euros. That's actually not quite enough for the first year. So yes, you can maybe cover your rent, but that's actually not enough because you actually have to cover all other expenses. Then what they say is that if you apply for a 2-year stay or 2-year residence permit, again, you can apply for a 1-year permit and then renew it for the second year of your degree. However, if you apply for a 2-year stay, you must have at least 13,440 euros on your account. So that's double this basically. However, what they say also here is that when you are applying for an extended permit, so when you renew your permit, you may secure your means of support with work, meaning that you are allowed to work for your living, basically. However, your work may not slow down your studies. Your studies must progress at a normal pace. So basically, this means that you need to do a certain amount of credits per year in school. If not, your residence permit will basically be cancelled, and you will be kind of kicked out of the country. To be honest. So to your question, is it easy to find a job in Finland in Jyväskylä? The city doesn't really matter. It's not easy to find a part-time job at first. Of course, what I just mentioned about the kind of easier part-time jobs, working at a restaurant, bar, cafeterias, etc. Those are good. But then again, what I mentioned is that the food delivery jobs, the barrier of entry into those jobs is very low. So basically anyone can do them as long as they have the means to do them. And you can actually do quite good money if you just work hard. So I would say that the kind of food delivery jobs are a very good way for anyone to start already right at the beginning, so that you don't have to, wait to get through a super long application process for a part-time job at a cafeteria. However, those kind of jobs will not be enough to pay for all of your expenses, as just mentioned. So take this into account. The next question comes from Eternal Buzz, and as a reminder, Eternal Buzz comes from India, is still in high school, and is applying for a bachelor's at Aalto University, doing a degree in computer sciences or international business, so a bit of variation here. And the question is, what do you think, while studying, can a student start a startup? Yes, absolutely. I've actually started 4 companies. I've actually started 4 companies while I was studying. 3 of them have failed. No, sorry. 2 of them have failed miserably. 1 of them changed into a hobby, and 1 of them is actually still running, and we're actually doing really well. So absolutely yes. There's a lot of things to learn and know about it. And even for me, as a native Finnish speaker, it hasn't been that easy, because there's actually a lot of administrative stuff that you need to know or learn. No one knows it when you start, but you need to learn. So you need to be prepared to learn a lot about running a company, how to do your books, or if you have a bookkeeper, that's fine as well, or accountant. But then you need to know, there's a lot of things to learn, basically. Let's put it this way. I don't know how to decide whether computers or whether or not to do a degree in computer science or business, because I don't have a computer in my high school subjects, but I want to know how is to be a computer scientist or an international business student. So I can only speak to being a business student. It's great. I love it. But of course, you need to be interested in business in order to actually do well in that. I would not, start studying business if you don't care about business, or if you're not interested in the topics at all, because you really don't want to spend 5 years of your life studying something that you're not interested in, and then 50 years working until your pension in a job that you don't really like. Computer science and all kinds of computer engineering stuff, super interesting. I don't have the mathematical head to those kind of jobs. I have a lot of friends who are computer scientists, and they love it. And there's all kinds of people who do this kind of stuff. So both career options offer you really good career or futures, basically, because business isn't going anywhere, and computer science related stuff, computer engineering, software development, it's growing like hell. So basically either of them is great in terms of jobs, but I would say that you should choose the one that you're more interested in personally. That's always the best choice. Space Station asking, can you actually give the exact number of questions left for today's questions? Sure, there's currently 20-ish questions, but do take into account that they are increasing all the time. So, I'm trying to catch up. However, I'm actually pretty close to getting to the first questions from this week, so don't worry, we'll get there. Anyway, the next question comes from Le Not Tien. Sorry, I did butcher your name, I'm pretty sure. Tien, if it's okay, I call you Tien for now. So Tien is from Vietnam and has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a bachelor's degree in automotive and computer sciences at the University of Tampere. Nice. Very good options. And the question is, do universities of applied sciences have full bachelor scholarships? Not necessarily. So every single university and University of Applied Sciences in Finland has their own scholarship programs. So the scholarships offered by each university are different. And every single university and University of Applied Sciences that has English taught degrees, they do have scholarship programs for international students who come from outside the European Union or European Economic Area. However, whether or not they have full scholarship options, I don't remember. There's 14 universities. No, sorry. There's 13 universities and 22 universities of applied sciences in Finland, and we have over 400 English taught bachelor's and master's degree programs. So it's pretty hard to remember what all of the scholarship programs are for each of them. So what I would recommend you to do is to simply start going through the different, you can actually just Google Universities of Applied Sciences in Finland and start going through their websites, and they all have very good tuition fee and scholarship pages. Very simple to go through. Actually, you might do this quite fast. Again, I just don't remember. I've gone through all of them at some point, but I just don't remember, to be honest. Anyway, the next question comes from Ere, from Bulgaria again. And the question is, if I can't gather enough money to cover my expenses, I'm planning to move to Finland and work there for a year or so. Is it really hard to find an entry-level job in a couple of months? And in which city is it much easier to find a job? If I work for 1 year, would this make me eligible for Kela support? I'm a EU citizen, thanks in advance. About the Kela support, so Kela, for those of you who do not know, is the social insurance institution in Finland. They take over the social insurance payments. I don't remember whether or not working a year in Finland full-time would make you eligible to actually apply for Kela support. My guess is no. Please check this from the Kela website, because it's not this simple actually. There's a lot of things that you need to kind of check in a box in order to get those. I don't remember. Kela is a mess, or the social support system in Finland is a bit of a mess, because it's so complicated. There's so many kind of levels into it, and even as a kind of student, I have used Kela financial support as a student. We actually get a government grant to study. But even that was too expensive. So some people actually don't even take it because it's sometimes way too complicated to actually apply for. So basically, what I would recommend you to do is simply to work long enough in either Bulgaria or in Finland. Of course, you can apply. You can come to Finland to work as an EU citizen. However, the thing is that you have to find a work here or a job here in order to stay here for a longer period. So even if you are a EU citizen, you cannot just linger in Finland for nothing, unless you have the money to kind of stay and spend your money here. But if you don't, then you need to find a job here. I don't remember the time period that you need to find it within or inside of it. However, finding a entry-level job in linguistics, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea of the job market, so it's very difficult for me to say. Yeah, that's what I would say here. What I would recommend you to do is to maybe contact a couple of the international high schools that we have in Finland. Not the Finnish taught high schools, but the international high schools that teach in English, and kind of ask them whether or not they have any kind of job openings for language for people who might be good, for example, teach English or other languages. The thing is that in Finland, if you, for example, want to teach English at a high school, you need to have a master's degree in education. You cannot just come here and teach English to Finnish students, even if you speak, doesn't matter how good English you speak. You need to have a master's degree in education in order to teach Finnish students in either primary, secondary, or high school. So that's kind of an issue. The next question, super quick water. Actually, before we actually get to the next question, of course, again, if you guys are actually getting some value out of the stream, I would really appreciate if you could hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and that would I would highly appreciate it, and it would also help quite a bit with the channel. And actually, before we jump in the next question, I just want to try something brand new. So if you actually look at the chat, you can actually answer a poll about whether or not you're actually coming to Finland to do a bachelor's, master's, or a PhD. Just wanted to try this and check it out. So fill that out, hit the like button, and let's jump forward. All right. The next question from the forum comes from Wiwa, who comes from Zambia, and she is applying to the Hanken School of Economics, excellent choice, to do a PhD, nice, in business law, I guess. So legal was written here. And the question is, which universities do you recommend as being the best to study a PhD in law? All right, okay. I have been drawn to Hanken School of Economics because it has a PhD in commercial law. I look forward to hearing from you. So yeah, this is a great question, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher your name again. MW is a very difficult combination for Finns. WiWa. The thing is that there's maybe 3 schools that I would recommend to you, outright or right away. However, it depends on what do you actually want to specialize in your PhD. So if you want to do a PhD in law, for example, criminal law, there's only one university that would be suitable, and that's the University of Helsinki. They have the leading faculty in law in Finland, and actually, for example, Hanken School of Economics and Aalto University, they don't have faculties of law. They actually specialize in business law, or corporate law. So however, if you're interested, as you mentioned, in commercial law, then I would recommend either Hanken School of Economics or Aalto University. They have a business school, which is actually the #1 business school in Finland. It's actually my institution where I've studied my bachelor's and master's, and I would highly recommend it. So Hanken School of Economics, Aalto University, or then if you want to do just a PhD in law, or any kind of any kind of PhD in law, then of course the University of Helsinki would be an excellent choice as well. They're the leading university in law anyways in Finland. Anyway, the next question comes from Harshit Ra, who comes from India. And Harshit has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a master's in graphics designs at Aalto University. Nice. Excellent choice. Aalto University is actually one of the leading universities in the world in design, arts and design, so it would be excellent choice. The question, after researching, it was really hard to figure out which college, university, in Finnish, we actually don't use the term college in Finland, just, small detail, but it sometimes confuses people. We have universities and universities of applied sciences. We don't have colleges. So hard to figure out which university is good other than Aalto University for a program in Masters in Visual Communication, which is in English. Any suggestions? Actually, no. This is not because I'm an Aalto University stooge, # not sponsored. The reason is I simply don't remember which other universities have programs in arts and design in English on a master's level. However, Aalto University, it's absolutely great. It's the best university in this field in Finland, and as I mentioned, it's also one of the best universities in this field in the world as well. However, this also means that it's not easy to get in, so you have to also keep that in mind. Cool. Let's see, we have more people actually joining. We have General Mocho, welcome to... Oh, actually, General was already here. We have Barry, what's up? Welcome to the stream. We have Barry saying, I'm moving to Finland in 2 months. Can I work and study at the same time? Absolutely, yes. Just make sure that you schedule your work or you block your time well. I actually worked for 4 years out of my studies. Some of them part-time and I think 3 years full-time, and it was pretty hard, especially when doing your master's and especially when focusing on your thesis. So I would definitely recommend anyone working, at least trying to work part-time alongside your studies. But if you do, make sure that you actually can do it physically and mentally, because it's going to be very strenuous. Of course, the money is nice, but burnout is also a bitch, to be completely honest. I've had a really bad burnout after my first year, and I was pretty close after, while doing my thesis as well. It's really not nice, and it's very easy to kind of go overboard, especially when you're trying to do multiple things at the same time. So you have multiple courses, you have multiple assignments, and then when you add on the pressure of work, it's not nice. It's not cool. Great question though. Hey, we have Peter online. Welcome, Peter. Welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for the support. If people don't know, Peter Baka is actually kind of one of the leading, I would say, how would you actually describe this yourself? I would say that Peter is actually one of the best known serial entrepreneurs in Finland, and also doing a lot for international students trying to coming to Finland as well. He's basically a kind of an ambassador for Finland, or for Finland in other countries, trying to, get international students in Finland, and that work is highly appreciated. So Peter, awesome to have you here here in the stream. That's kind of cool. Then we have Sergio Robledo Cuadros. And Sergio is saying 1 month and 25 days until I go to University of Lapland in Rovaniemi. Nice. That's actually awesome. And you know, Sergio, I have to say that you actually go to Rovaniemi at the best possible time, because next week we have actually Midsummer. We have the Midsummer Festival next week, and it's basically the day when the sun when the day is longest. So in Lapland, the sun doesn't even drop below the horizon. So basically, when you go to when you actually arrive to Finland in Rovaniemi, hopefully your plane actually arrives, you know, in the night or in the evening, because you will be completely surprised, because you will arrive to Rovaniemi and it will be basically like in the middle of the day, because the sun will be up. And it's going to be quite quiet because everyone's sleeping, but it's going to be very interesting to see kind of your reaction to this when you actually go to Rovaniemi for the first time. Hey Alex as well, welcome to the stream as well. We have and then we have Nandeshwara, welcome again, awesome to have you here. And then Ashik is saying, thanks Oliver. Also, what are the chances of getting a scholarship even at 50% in Masters of Computer Sciences or Data Science related subjects, specifically in the universities like Turku and Tampere? So this is actually a great question, and unfortunately my response is always the same. It's impossible for me to tell you what are the chances or the percentage or even how many people are actually granted a scholarship, simply because this information is not public and the universities don't publicize. Some do, some don't. So most universities don't publicize the information about the actual number of scholarships and how many applied for them. So this makes it completely impossible for me to give you any kind of a number. I know that a lot of people get them every year, but then again, I also know that there's a lot of social media millionaires. That doesn't tell me anything, because then there's a lot of people who don't get to be in that situation. So unfortunately, it's a very big problem for me to kind of take any kind of a stance with these topics. Anyway, let's jump back into the questions from the form. The next one comes from Nisanur, who comes from Turkey. And Nisanur has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a master's in geography. Cool. Very nice. At the University of Helsinki, excellent choice. At the University of Eastern Finland, excellent choice as well. Actually, funny thing, my brother is doing his PhD in biology at the University of Eastern Finland. So that's kind of cool. Very good university, especially for the natural sciences. Very nice. Then the question is, hi, I lived in Joensuu for 6 months and I really loved it. There you go. Awesome. I want to do my master's degree in Helsinki or Joensuu, and I'm studying geography. Do you know what job opportunities there are? Yeah, so this is actually a very important question, and this is actually where my brother, even with his master's in biology, kind of stumbled upon. The issue is that for many fields, especially based on natural sciences, so mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, geography, etc. The job situation is not always the best possible, which is unfortunate. And my brother actually had quite a lot of issues getting a job in biology in Helsinki. However, he really struggled to do that in Joensuu as well. And what I've understood is that his recommendation is to come to Helsinki because the job market is better here. However, many of the jobs, for example, for someone studying geography, the jobs actually might not be physically in Helsinki in the end. However, most of the companies that you would be employed by are in Helsinki, and then you would be then interviewed here, and then you would be sent somewhere else. So I would say that Helsinki would be the optimal choice. However, Joensuu, of course, there's a lot of companies specializing in this because they have the university there. So there's, of course, there's a job market there as well. However, if you want to play safer, then Helsinki should be your choice. Hey, Alexi, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Just ended our first live poll, which was kind of cool. You should test that out in your next stream. Hope you're doing awesome, man. By the way, after in around 2 weeks, I'm actually gonna get a car, or we actually got a car. My girlfriend has it now. She's out of town, but she's coming back next week. And when we have the car back in Helsinki, I would actually love to take you to our cottage to have a sauna evening, as mentioned a couple of weeks ago. So let's get back to that. Let's say the next question. And by the way, guys, for anyone wondering, I'm already in the questions that have been posted this week. So don't worry, I will get to yours soon enough. Talking of which, the next question comes from Umut, who comes from Turkey, and he's still in high school, but is interested in a bachelor's in computer sciences. And there's a couple of schools here, and he's thinking about Aalto University, the University of Turku, and Helsinki, and still researching is what it says here. And the question is, probably you said it in your videos. Don't worry. The reason for the live streams is to answer questions that you want answered. So just go, far away. But I just started to watch your videos. So should I know Finnish for work in a part-time job? No, you do not need to know Finnish to work in Finland. Of course, there are jobs that do require you to speak Finnish. Most of them are customer service jobs, especially, if we think about lower level entry level service level jobs. Many of them do. If you, for example, work in a grocery store, you might be required to speak Finnish simply because the clientele is Finnish. And even though Finnish people do speak very good English, you also have to take into account that you will have customers, young children. You would serve, older people, so every age group, and many people, especially younger, and then or much younger, and then much older, are not that comfortable speaking English necessarily. So that's why you would need to speak Finnish for these kind of jobs. However, then there are a lot of other jobs that do not require Finnish. So absolutely, you can work part-time without knowing Finnish. You just need to know where and what to look for. Then the second question, are extracurricular activities important for getting a scholarship? No. My understanding is that they do not really impact your scholarship options at all. This is at least my understanding. Because most of the universities, they only look at your SAT scores or SAT, GREs, GMATs, whatever test you need to take, your language proficiency scores, your previous academic record. But I haven't heard any university looking at your extracurriculars. So that's actually something that is pretty different from with Finland from other countries, for example, UK or US. I'm working with developing games and guitar. Will it boost my acceptance for a scholarship? Most likely no. So of course, again, disclaimer here, I'm not a university admission officer or admission expert. So please do take that into account and do make your own research and contact the universities if you have if you want to check from them as well. They might not be able to give you any answers on this, but it doesn't cost you anything to contact them. You have to take into account that the information that I have is based on personal experience and on the research that I've done personally. So I spend, of course, a few thousand hours, looking into this kind of stuff. But there might always be exceptions that I do not know about. So as a disclaimer, do not trust me either. 100%, 99.9. Yeah, Anyway, the next question comes from Srujit. Excuse me. There we go. The next question comes from Srujit. There you go. Who comes from India and is actually a regular on the channel, which is very much appreciated. And he has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in any good university universities with reasonable fees. Not a bad request. Nice. Anyway, he's interested in a bachelor's in accounting or economics. Awesome. The question is, hey Oliver, since the past 4 months you have been very helpful, and I just wanted to hear some information about cheap universities for business administration, approximately $2,000, $4,000 per year. And I had a view on Aalto University, and it was a very good but very high fees. Yeah, so this is actually the thing. I don't know of any university or University of Applied Sciences in Finland that has their tuition fees less than 5,000 euros. So I think that the university tuition fees in Finland, so universities as well as universities of applied sciences, I think they run from 5,000 to 18,000 euros. So I think 18,000 euros are the most expensive ones, and they are at the University of Helsinki, and they're for master studies, so that wouldn't matter for you anyways. However, the lowest fees I think are 5 or 6,000. So you would need to be able to raise your cap quite a bit, so almost 50%. So just take that into account. Next question comes from Harry Lau. Awesome. Harry comes from Hong Kong. He's a regular on the channel as well. And Harry is actually starting school this semester, which is awesome, in education and data sciences. And the question is, I have some previous experience in teaching data science. If I want to change my field from education to data science, do you think studying a minor in my Finnish university or a micro-master's program in data sciences in edX is more advantage in the field? Secondly, do you know any minor programs about data science or AI? Thanks. Yeah, so I do, but the problem here is, Harry, that you didn't remind me of the school that you're actually going to. Because I would need to actually look into the school-specific programs, because of course the minors and major programs depend on the schools themselves. However, for example, Aalto University and the University of Helsinki have very, very good minor programs in AI and data sciences, as well as major programs. However, I would need to know the school that you're into, and I would then need to go to the university websites to check them out. Having said this, to the question, do you think studying a minor in my Finnish university or a micro-master's program in data sciences in edX is more advantage in the field? Maybe, yeah. It's of course hard to say. So if you want to change your field from education to data sciences, of course, the more, if you have a major if you do a new major in data sciences, that is going to be very, very helpful. But of course, a minor degree as well might help you get forward. It always depends on what kind of jobs and what kind of a career trajectory you're looking at, and I would actually need to look into this a bit more. So actually, Harry, if you're interested, I would recommend that you actually send me a message on Discord, and we can actually talk. We can actually talk a bit more about the options that you have. And actually, Alex is saying Harry is going to Turku University, right? That's actually a good point. I think that might be correct, but I would need to get a confirmation on this just to be able to check the programs that they have. But yeah, Harry, if you want to actually reach out to me on Discord, I just posted the link to our Discord server in the chat. And if you just send me a DM there, the exact same question there, or you can reformulate it if you want, and I will then be able to look a bit into this. I will be able to look into this a bit more. However, please do know that it will take me a bit more time to actually get back to you, because I'm pretty much being bombarded by questions from all over the place. So it takes me time to go through everything. Yeah. Anyway, the next question comes from Jai Lord, who comes from Slovakia again, and Jai Lord is regular on the channel as well, which is appreciated. And he's applying to do a bachelor's at Aalto University in technology. And there is a long question here, so let's go through this. Hi, on the migri.fi, so the Finnish Immigration Service website that you showed us, in the section students, means of support or something like that, that's correct. There's this section, some educational institutions support their students' residents in Finland. Does that apply to Aalto too? No, that does not apply to Aalto too. So what I've understood that this is kind of referencing is that some universities, like the University of Helsinki, do have scholarships that are not just for the tuition fee, but also for your living costs. But the thing with these kind of scholarships is that they're extremely rare. And for example, at this time, Aalto University does not have any scholarships that would cover your living costs. So they're just for tuition fees. So, take this into account. Anyway, continuing with the question, because without it, I would need 7,000 euros, and with it, so with it, I would need 7,000 euro, and without it, I would need, without it, I would need 7,000 euros, and with it, I would just need 2,000 euros to get the residence permit. And that will help a lot, because my country is poor, and with a minimum wage being €3 or $3 an hour, it's hard to make much money, especially during COVID. If you could give me some directions where to find more information, would be highly appreciated. Yeah, so the thing is that unfortunately, especially in your field in technology, the University of Helsinki doesn't have a faculty in this, or they don't have any technology programs. So the problem is that, again, there's very, very few scholarships that actually also cover living costs in Finland, and again, Aalto University doesn't have them. I don't remember any others than the University of Helsinki. I do know that there's a couple, but again, there's just 14 universities, 22 universities of applied sciences, 400 plus programs. Impossible to remember all of them, unfortunately. Technical Booth, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here. Actually, haven't seen you in a while, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Welcome. Awesome. Hopefully you're doing fine. Space Station asking, did you watch the Finland versus Denmark football match? I actually didn't. I'm not that big of a football person. So I've actually been following the games in the news, but I didn't watch the game live. Absolutely horrible what happened during the game, and luckily everything is fine, but it seems that for Ericsson his career is over, which is extremely unfortunate. It's very, very, very unfortunate. Annette asking, hey Oliver, have you answered my question regarding textbooks? No, I actually haven't. I think it might be. It's actually coming up really soon. So just hold on a few, maybe 10 minutes or so. I will get to your question. Return to Monkey at all costs, saying, by the way, thank you Oliver for answering my question on Discord. My Discord username being Monkey. I've contacted my university and it turns out I don't have to pay any fees. Hey, that's awesome. Congrats on that. That's kind of cool. That you just saved, a few tens of thousands of euros throughout your studies. That's cool. Awesome. Very nice. Very good. That actually makes me very happy. Cheers. Cheers to that. Awesome. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Marco, who comes from Egypt, and Marco is starting school this semester at the Metropolia University of Applied Sciences, doing his master's in civil engineering and real estate. And the question is, I got my notice of admission since January. HOAS doesn't consider it valid since it's more than 3 months old. So admission comes from HTV Berlin and not Metropolia. Despite attaching my Finnish residence mentioning my master's program name on the back of the card and my German university account, HOAS still needs an updated admission. Really annoying. That's actually really weird. I've never actually heard of this before, because it might be that the program, since is it a double master's or double degree master's program or something like this, it might be that it's not for some reason in HOAS's register. What I recommend you to do at this point, Marco, is contact Metropolia University of Applied Sciences now, right away, specifically their admission services. Don't send an email to their student services or whatever. Send them an email to the admission services. You most likely have already received some kind of an email from them about the admission. Reach out to them, tell them about this, and ask them for some kind of a confirmation of your admission so that you could attach that into your HOAS application. Cool. Then, super quickly, before we jump into Annette's question, just super quickly, there's a discussion going on in the chats. There's Hugh saying, what's the employee's view on the applicant having 2 masters in the similar field, for example, wood materials and forest ecology? Does a second master's degree from professional field rise your salary? Yeah, Alex is saying that Alex is saying that I would say no. Employees value concrete experience over degrees. Yeah, that's actually a good point. And I do agree with Alex here that having 2 degrees in the same field, especially if they're very close to each other, most likely not worth it. You have to, understand that you can actually learn many of the skills that you can learn in that second degree doing your job or doing your work. And especially considering that there's, of course, the jobs are usually built around a specific set of skills that people have, and those kind of those sets of skills are usually based on the standard skill sets that people get when doing a specific degree. So if you have two different master's degrees, you will not most likely find a job where you can utilize both sets of skills, which means that it doesn't really have an impact on the job itself. As Alexi mentioned, the employers value concrete experience and skills. And if you have a second degree that you cannot really even utilize because the job doesn't really require that, it will not have any kind of an impact on your actual salary. Of course, then again, if you have a PhD, that's a different case. However, I would not do two masters, in order to raise your salary. Your salary is more likely going to raise faster and better if you just spend that 2 years that would go into the second master's just working and working really hard on your career, and then trying to get a raise and a promotion, etc. And you can then learn on the job. So I would not necessarily recommend doing a second master's unless you're extremely passionate about the topic. Then of course I'm not the one to tell you not to, but I think that Alexi has a very good point. All right. Now, Annette, your question. So Annette comes from India and has not decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in cybersecurity at Aalto University or doing a Erasmus Mundus program at Aalto. And there's a couple of questions here. First, hey Oliver, I wanted to know about how do you get textbooks for studies for universities? Very, very good. So there's a couple of questions to this. First, am I required to buy them, or will I be able to borrow it from a library for the course or a semester? Second, if I'm supposed to buy them, should I buy them from India itself, or do I get a second-hand books there? And three, should I carry textbooks for my bachelor studies to Finland for reference? Great questions. Let's start with the third one. No, don't bring any books. unless you have some very, very, very good textbooks that you really like and that you actually utilize, then sure, yeah, absolutely, you could bring them along with you to Finland. No reason why not to. The only question I would ask yourself is it worth it? Do they actually have that good information that you cannot find the same things in textbooks that you could borrow from Finland, get from academic resources or online or whatnot? Of course, if you start bringing carry-on luggage worth of books to Finland, it's going to be pretty expensive with your flights. But yeah, I don't see any reasons why not to. I didn't, when I went to Germany to study my exchange studies there, I didn't bring anything there because I had everything in a digital form. So, just taking that into account. Then the first question: am I required to buy textbooks from the university? This is actually very rare. So some courses, there are very, very few amount of courses that I've taken during the entirety of my studies where I had to buy any kind of materials for the course. Textbooks you can almost certainly always borrow from the school library. Do know that there are always a limited amount, so people usually fight over them. However, the universities also have a lot of audiobooks and ebooks that you can also borrow for a limited amount of time. And then university professors usually have very, very, very good materials. So I have actually, during the entirety of my 5 years or my studies, I think I borrowed a book for my course exam 3 times during the entire duration of my studies, because I was able to actually study for the exams based on academic articles that we had as material, and then based on the course material that we had, like assignments, weekly PowerPoints, etc. So I would say that it is highly unlikely that you need to buy any books for your studies. Of course you can. And if reading a book is a way that you prefer for your studies, absolutely, nothing stopping you doing that. Of course, then if you want to have a book for example, in Hindi, then you would need to order them from abroad. However, you can then buy almost anything from Amazon in English. Of course. Then second, if I'm supposed to buy them, should I buy them from India itself? Again, if you want them in Hindi or another language, then yes. But again, I see it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to buy any kind of books need to be buying any kind of books during your studies. So that's actually one of the things. I think actually, Alex, this might have been one of the things that you mentioned in one of your videos talking about why studying in Finland is awesome, simply because actually the digital materials that we have are very, very good and comprehensive, and that you don't actually need books, which is really cool. All right, next question. Next question coming from, we have Deepak Rajapan, who comes from India and who's coming to Finland to work, not for school. And the question is, I'm from India and working in Helsinki, Finland for more than 1.5 years as a special expert in IT domain. Cool. All right. That's awesome. Also, I have 5 years of work experience in information technology. So here's my question. I would like to do a master's in Finland while I'm working. I don't want to quit my job during my studies, and my residence permit is tagged with my work under special expert category. Right. Can you please provide me guidance on this? Also requesting you to suggest me a course and university. All right. So let's start with the last question first. Absolutely, if you're working in Helsinki, absolutely Aalto University, no questions asked, especially with your amount of experience. Aalto University is the best university in technology and engineering in Finland. So absolutely that. They have multiple very, very interesting master's programs, master's degree programs in your field. So I would actually go to Aalto University website. So just Google Aalto Masters, and then we have master programs here, and then you can actually see, oh sorry, not that one, study at Aalto. I think it might have been this one because I've opened it before. Come on, there you go. For master admissions, study specific study options on website. There you go. Okay, now I find it. So then masters, just choose master studies, English, and then technology and engineering. So you can see that there's a bunch of really good engineering programs. Of course, you taking into account that they have, maritime engineering, they have, nuclear engineering, they have computer sciences, they have everything here together. However, you can check out all the different master's programs in technology in here and choose which would be interesting for you. And the cool thing here is that you can actually check out the curriculum for each of these programs through this website, so you can kind of get a good idea of what kind of courses they actually teach during the degree. So I would definitely recommend that you start from here. Then your question about guidance on the residence permits. This is actually something that I really don't want to comment on because I actually don't know about this enough. However, what I would recommend you to do is to contact your superior at your current job, and tell him or her about your plans and ask them whether or not it would be possible for you to keep working part-time if and when you get a position or you get admitted to a university in Finland. So be as front and center and open as possible, because many employers in Finland actually like the fact that their employees get a higher degree, and many of them like to support this by being able to structure your job in a new way so that you can actually work part-time. So that's really cool. However, in terms of the residence permit, you actually need to, unfortunately in this case, you need to contact the Finnish Immigration Service about this. Unfortunately, currently they're completely blasted with service requests because there's so many people actually moving to Finland at this time. So it will take time before they will get back to you. But what I would recommend you to do is to come to their website, and during the normal service hours. So you can actually see, if I move myself out of the way, you can actually see that on the bottom right corner, they actually have their customer service chat. So during the normal office hours, I think they end at 3 p.m. Helsinki time or Finnish time. Until that, they actually have a person behind the bot. So just come here and say, can I talk to a person? You can't see this most likely. And then they will say, okay, I will get a human colleague to speak with you. And then ask them about this, and they most likely will be able to at least give you a kind of a idea of where and how to proceed with this topic, at least in the beginning. The problem again being that I don't know about this enough to give you guidance on this topic, unfortunately. Awesome. Anyway, great question though. Unfortunately, it's not my expertise. The next question comes from, again, from Annette, and there's a couple of questions here. Number one, do Erasmus Mundus students get to enjoy all the benefits as that of regular students if they're studying in Aalto University? So if you mean, for example, student, discounts, student parties, etc., absolutely yes. Of course, there are some things that you do not get to enjoy, but those are more kind of long-term things. So yeah, absolutely yes. Then, for example, can they join all student clubs? Absolutely yes, even though they're not studying in that school for only 1 or 2 years. Absolutely yes. Do remember that the student clubs are not directly, they're not actually operating under the university. So they're all independent organizations. So actually the university doesn't set the rules for them. So absolutely yes, you can join any of the clubs. You can partake in any of the kind of events or activities, even if you are a Erasmus Mundus student. Absolutely yes. Cool. The next question comes from Space Station, who comes from India. Has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a master's in AI or machine learning at Aalto University. Very good. And then we have a question. Actually, this is very off topic. He says, I'm curious in dating a Finnish girl while my study period abroad. So wanted to ask you for a few tips to date a Finnish woman. Keep up the good work. Unfortunately, I am not the correct person to ask about this, but luckily, Space Station, we have the perfect person in the stream for you to get an answer about this. Alexi, would you please help Space Station with dating Finnish women? Of course, Space Station, I would recommend that you go and check out Alex's videos on the topic. He has a couple of really funny videos on dating Finnish women and men as well. However, I am not the best person, especially nowadays, since I have been in a relationship almost 8 years now. So I haven't dated in a while. So I don't think I'm the best person to give you advice at this point. Interesting question though. Alex is your man. Jamjiwi, welcome to the stream. What's up? Anyway, the next question comes from a Discord member who comes from India and who has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in also AI and machine learning at Aalto University. And the question is, hi Oliver, hope you're doing great. Thank you very much. I am. Hopefully you're doing fine as well, and hopefully you're staying safe in India as well. Just a quick one from my side. How's the weather in summer? Beautiful. The weather is really nice. The cool thing about the weather in summer in Finland is that it's actually pretty mild when you compare to, especially like India or Africa or even the Mediterranean or even Central Europe actually. There's actually been a funny trend in the recent years where German and French tourists come to Finland during the summer simply because it's cooler here than in Germany. Germany has seen these very massive heat waves during the last few years, where they have over 35 degrees Celsius, which is unbearable for many people in Europe. And they actually come to Finland because it's usually on a good day in midsummer we have from 20 anywhere from maybe let's say 15 degrees to 30 degrees Celsius. So there's a lot of fluctuation. There's quite a lot of rain sometimes, and however, the cool thing is that it's not that moist. So the air and the air quality is really really good. So I would say that the summer weather in Finland, unless it's raining all the time, which is sometimes what happens, is just lovely. It's not too hot, not too cold. Yeah, I would say that would be what I would say. And even if it rains, it's not that bad again. And we don't have massive rain and thunderstorms. Sometimes we do have thunder, but that's maybe a few times a summer. And those are mostly like, for Finnish people, thunder is like, look, it's thundering. Let's make a cup of tea or coffee and look at the sky, because that's cool. We almost never see that, So it's almost like a luxury to look at a thunderstorm and listen to the thunder, because it's something that we don't experience that often. Yeah. Then a question, any mountains there for hiking? So no, we don't have mountains, as Alexi has actually said in the chat. So we don't have mountains, we have fjälls and we have hills. So actually the funny thing, fun fact, the Finnish northern part of Finland, where we have most of the kind of hills that we have, it actually it actually used to be a mountain range higher than the Himalayas. However, the previous ice age actually crushed all the mountain ranges that we had in Finland and in some parts of Sweden. And what kind of ended from there, or what we have nowadays, is these rounded hills. The highest peak in Finland, Alexi helped me, is couple of kilometers, so not high, but they're really rounded and they're full of these really massive boulders and rocks. So you can really see when you go hiking that how the ice age has actually crushed the mountains and made them into these millions and millions of pieces that are the size of small rocks to size of a car. And we call that rakkakivikko, meaning that they're these really big boulders that we hike over. And I actually I'm a really outdoorsy person, and I actually go hiking every single year in Lapland. It's a very different experience from, for example, hiking in the Alps, but it's absolutely lovely. And the Finnish fjälls, as we call them, it's a very unique experience. It's very barren. So mostly when you go to the hills in Lapland, especially when you're higher up, there's no trees. The only thing that you have is beautiful crystal clear streams, the best quality water that you can have, and then you have reindeers. You don't have any trees, but you have reindeers. Just roaming the hills, and that's actually really funny. We actually took a few years ago, we took a group of international students hiking in Lapland, and they were so flabbergasted when they we're just walking hiking with our backpacks, I think the second or third day, and then someone said, "Oh, look, reindeers in the left," and we just continue walking, and then they start looking, "Oh my god, it's Santa Claus, it's Rudolph, and you have 100 reindeers just running past you in a big group, and we're of course used to it, but it was kind of funny for them. So so Alex actually saying the highest peak is 1,365 meters, which is the Halti mountain. That is actually that's very true, and the Halti is actually divided half and half of the hill or the mountain is on the Swedish side. The funny thing is that the highest peak is just on the Swedish side. Screw them. and then the lower peak is on our side. And there was actually a rumor when Finland was about to turn 100 years old from our independence. There was actually a rumor floating that the Swedish government was going to give us just a very small part, like a few hundred square meters or so, off the Halti. So they would actually move the official border back just maybe 50 meters so that we could actually have that higher peak to ourselves. But well, that went kind of super viral, but unfortunately that didn't happen. That was kind of funny. So if you're interested in hiking in Finland and you guys want to do this kind of a hike, of course, I usually go hiking on either during the first 2 weeks of September or very, very late in August. The reasons being that if you go before the late of August, there's actually a lot of mosquitoes. They're completely harmless. We don't have any diseases, but they're extremely annoying, and they usually die off around the end of August. And in September, there's usually no mosquitoes. In the forests, yes, but in the hills, there's absolutely none anymore left. Plus, it's actually quite nice and mild already in September to hike. And the nights are already dark, so you can actually see the sky, the stars, and you might actually be able to see aurora borealis. So that's beautiful. But during the summer, if you go hiking, especially in midsummer, there's a lot of mosquitoes, and actually, since the sun doesn't go below the horizon, it might actually be pretty rough for many people, especially internationals, because there's no difference between you can be hiking at 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. and you cannot tell the difference between midday. So that's why early September is nice. If you go past October, that's already kind of going to the You have to be pretty experienced to go hiking if you want to go to that territory or that time, because when October hits, you can actually, even if you don't have any snow in the hills, you might actually get these super sudden blizzards or snowstorms. So you basically, instead of being prepared for two semesters or two seasons, so summer and autumn, you basically need to be prepared with your clothing, for example, for the temperature to drop from 15 degrees to -5, which is a completely different game. So I would definitely recommend that if you want to go hiking after October, or at early or late October or later, you need a guide, and you need to be very experienced at that point. However, if you guys are actually interested in these kind of hikes, again, I could actually organize or create a new channel in Discord, and just let me know in the Discord server if you're interested, and I can actually send you a lot of pictures and information about this topic. And again, I do this at least 1 or 2 times a year, and I do have quite a lot of experience in this matter. So just let me know in the Discord if you're interested. Bavia, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here as always. Anyway, sorry, a lot talking about hiking. Let's move on with the questions. The next question actually comes from Lilo Molin, who comes from the Netherlands. Welcome, Lilo. Awesome to have you here. And Lilo is actually starting, hopefully I can just call you Lilo, or Lilo Molin. Starting school this semester at Aalto University, doing her bachelor's in design. Awesome. And the question is, why did you decide to live in Haas and not the Aalto campus? That's actually a good question, simply because I didn't get an apartment from AYY, or the Aalto University Student Union. The thing is that the student apartments from the Aalto University Student Union, especially at the campus, they have extremely long queues, or at least they had when I moved, or when I was applying for apartments 8 years ago for the first time. So I simply wasn't able to get an apartment from them, and I actually got an offer from Hoas very quickly. So that's basically the only reason, and I've stayed at Hoas ever since. I just didn't want to even start changing, because it's quite a bit of an hassle. And actually we had a very nice location with Hoas, and the prices are pretty similar. Hoas, especially many of the apartments that we live in, they're brand new, so they're really new. Very, very well kept, very high quality. They have very good saunas. We have a free gym. We have free laundry rooms. We have very good storage facilities for our extra stuff. So I've been extremely happy with Hoas. So again, hashtag not sponsored. I just want to let everyone know, I had been living at Hoas buildings already more than 5 years before they actually started sponsoring this channel. So just take that into account. I have actually been using their services for years before they actually started sponsoring. Again, the stream is not sponsored, but many of you know that they sponsor my videos. But yeah, I simply wasn't able to get an apartment from AYY. I would have loved to, because the apartments at the Otaniemi campus are awesome. But that's the only reason. Good question. Interesting question though. The next question actually comes from Harsh from India, and Harsh is actually starting school this semester at the Hamk University of Applied Sciences, doing his bachelor's in computer sciences. And the question is, I chose Hamk University. What is your opinion on this university? I do not have any personal experience in Hamk, and I actually don't have any friends either that have gone there. But I have not heard anything bad about it. Let's put it this way. I don't really have any experience about it, but I haven't heard anything negative either, so that's usually a very good sign. Very good sign. Also, you have to take into account that the all universities and universities of applied sciences in Finland are very high quality, so I would be very happy with the choice if I were where to apply. Alexi asking in the chat, when are you getting kicked out from Hoas, especially now that you're graduated? We're not actually going to be kicked out from Hoas in a year or two, because actually my girlfriend is actually still doing her degree, and we can actually stay in the apartment as long as either of us is studying full time. So it's actually a family apartment. It's actually, there's actually not that many those kind of apartments, but in the family apartments, you have one tenant agreement, and you can only move into a family apartment with your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend, usually referred to as spouses in Finland in this case anyway, even if you're not married. And the rules basically are, as long as either of you is studying full time, you can stay there with the current contract. So we can actually stay there for a year, I think. My girlfriend is supposed to graduate by the end of next year with her master's as well. Good question. Thank you very much. When are you going to be kicked out on the curb? I appreciate it. Anyway, the next question comes from Abderrahmane, who comes from Algeria, and I hope that I pronounced your name at least somewhat correctly. Abderrahmane. I think that's somewhat correct. Hopefully, let me know in the chat if I got it close. Anyway, Abderrahmane is from Algeria, applying to do a degree in nursing in Finland. Doesn't have a school, and the question is, I wanted to know more about the Taki Institute. What is Taki Institute? Oh, Tampereen aikuiskoulutuskeskus. All right. Yeah, you might be seeing where I'm actually going here. And when I graduate, is it possible to get a job? And they told that there is a lack of nursing workers in Finland. That is true, but I have absolutely know about Tak. Not because it's not a reputable school, but simply because it's not a university. So I have absolutely no idea about the school in any way. So unfortunately, I cannot comment about this topic in any way because I simply don't know about the school. Do note that there's a lot of schools in Finland. It is a very reputable organization. Again, we have a public, education system. So there are no shitty scam universities because we don't have any private universities. Well, we do, but they are not operating under the Ministry of Education, so it's a completely different thing. However, we basically don't have private universities. Let's put it this way. So, Jet Kotti, by the way, actually saying about the to the discussion about apartments. I got a shared apartment from Hoas in Espoo for 202 euros. That's crazy. That's super. I think that's one of the cheapest apartments that Hoas has. That's crazy cheap. Nice. Congrats. That's awesome because that means that you're going to save a lot of money to do whatever you want, travel, have fun, go to parties, all of that money, or invest, or, whatever you want. Yeah, Alex is saying good stuff, full leverage of those cheap student flats. Absolutely, yeah. Jikrark actually asking, is it possible to move to a family apartment if you have other Hoas apartments? So yes, you can actually apply to a new apartment at Hoas even if you have an apartment. However, do note that you still have to go through the normal queue, so it will take you a time. Also, you do note that if you want to apply for a family apartment, you need to have a spouse, so you cannot just move there on your own and then take someone else with you. Rather, you actually have to apply together with someone. So take that into account. And by the way, you cannot apply with a friend and say that she or he is your spouse. There's actually some legal ramifications about this. I won't go into the details, but basically you just need it has to be your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend in order for you to actually move into a family apartment. It's you cannot just cheat the system. Cool. Yeah, Sai Dharmesh asking, will there be enough rooms or houses in Hoas for students even in October or later? I hear that they started giving rooms in student in August. Will I miss out on accommodation because of my late arrival? Yes, please apply now. So the point, actually, Alex is saying that yes, it is going to be late. There's a limited amount of flats, first come, first serve. Not everyone gets a flat. Yeah, so there's actually a good point here. So it doesn't really matter when you arrive to Finland. You might still be offered an apartment. However, you have to still apply early. So even if you come into Finland in January, you really have to apply for early. So with Hoas, they have a rule that you can only apply to their apartments 4 months. That's 4 months before you actually need it. So 4 months before you actually need to move into the apartment, you can at earliest apply for the apartment. So if you come in October, apply as early as possible. It doesn't mean the fact that people come to Finland earlier, already in the beginning of the semester, it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily get a room, because of course people move out of the apartments, during every single month a year, because people, you know, not, of course, people move to new apartments and people graduate around the year. We don't have, you know, only one graduation date per year, so people move out all the time. So you just have to make sure that you apply as early as possible, and even if you come in October, you might still have a chance of getting an apartment. So it's not necessarily that, okay, I arrive late, I will not get an apartment. It's only about, if you apply late, then you will not be offered an apartment, at least not as, you know, not before you come here. So you might have to have a temporary place somewhere else. Yeah, Alex is saying moving to a family apartment as a single like a boss. No comments. No comments here. I don't want to get into trouble. Let's see. Then the next question comes from Sardor, who comes from Uzbekistan. Why do I always mix the vowels or the letters? Uzbekistan, and he has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland. Let's change that. However, he's interested in a master's in artificial intelligence. Excellent choice. Finland is going to have a huge demand in artificial intelligence, in experts in AI. And actually, Peter Baka, who actually was in the stream a bit earlier, who is one of the leading serial entrepreneurs in Finland, one of the most famous as well. Appreciate him dropping by. He has actually been talking quite a bit publicly about the fact that Finland is going to need a huge amount of AI expert in the future. So basically doing a degree in AI in Finland is going to be nice. Very good in terms of your, you know, job opportunities. Anyway, the question is, hey, my question is, can you explain what are the requirements for applying a master's in Finland? What kind of additional exams should I take? IELTS, SATs, GMATs, etc. Also, it would be great if you could tell me a minimum GPA requirements. Thanks in advance. Have a good day. So this is actually this is unfortunately a very good question, while also being a question that I cannot answer. Again, simply, I usually talk about this every single week when people ask about these questions. First of all, the additional exams that you might need to do when you apply for your master's in AI, it depends on the university. So, of course, since you come from Uzbekistan, you have to do some kind of a language proficiency test. That is pretty much given. But whether or not you need to do the IELTS, TOEFL, or some other kind of language proficiency test, it depends on the university and what kind of tests they actually approve. Regardless, it depends on the school. Second, whether or not you need to do the SATs, GMATs, GREs, or something else, also depends on the school as well. The only kind of rule of thumb here is that the SATs are usually only used for bachelor's degrees or bachelor's applications. However, you know, whether or not you need to do the SATs or GMATs or GREs depends on the school. Some do not require them. Some do. Some do require some kind of another aptitude tests. So you need to check out the university websites. In this case, you were interested in the University of Turku, the University of Applied Sciences in Metropolia, as well as Aalto University. So if we just do a really quick test here, kind of to give you an example. Let's see. Just a moment. So if we look at Aalto University Master's Program in Computer, Communication and Information Sciences, it includes machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence. This is actually a program that I would highly recommend you to do. Again, Aalto University is the leading university in this field in Finland. Hashtag not sponsored. I've gone to Aalto University myself. I like to promote my own school, but it's also the best university in this field. Then if you actually come to this page, go to how to apply. So how I actually got here was simply Google Master's Aalto Artificial Intelligence, and it's this link, Master's Program in Computer Communication, etc. How to apply. And then go to General Eligibility. It says what kind of things you actually need. And then Study Option Specific Eligibility, Study Options web page. Technology, Master's, English, Computer. There you go. Let's see. study option specific application instructions. You need to you actually, yeah, you need to do a motivation letter. You need to submit your CV. You need to these additional documents add value to your application, GRE or GMAT test results, if available. So it seems that you actually do not need to do GREs or GMATs for the AI or ML, AI and data science program at Aalto University. However, it is going to be beneficial if you do this. This is going to increase your points. So I would highly recommend that you actually do them if it's possible for you. So regardless, this is the method that you need to use with all of these questions when you're thinking about the exact application requirements, etc. The information is always on the university websites, and since that it's always dependent on the program and the university, I cannot give you the information on the stream unless I actually go to the website myself. To your second question about the GPAs, unfortunately that is not public information, so the universities don't publish any kind of a minimum requirement for a GPA, and you have to consider that they have multiple things that they actually look at. They look at your previous academic record, so GPA for your bachelor's. They look at the suitability of your previous degree. So, you know, if you have a bachelor's in AI, that is most likely going to be better than having just a computer science program in something else. They look at your motivation letter. They look at your CV. They might be looking at your GMATs or GREs. So how much they weigh each of them, plus your GPA, that is something that they do not publish. So this is not public information. So it's impossible to say that what the minimum GPA is, unfortunately. Good question though. Hopefully you got information that helps you actually look into this a bit more. Cool. Yeah, actually, one good thing about, or one good comment that Jed Koti said about to something that I mentioned before. I mentioned that there are really no private universities in Finland. I say that there's really no private universities in Finland. There is basically one, which is called Helsinki Business School, or Helbus. And Jed Koti actually mentioned, I remember there is one private institution that is Helbus, but private degrees are not accredited. That is the very good point. So because they are not run by the Finnish Ministry of Education, they're not counted as master's degree programs or Finnish master degree programs. In fact, Helbus, which is a private institution, they actually do a British business degree together with a university in the UK. So it's actually not the same thing as doing a master's degree in a Finnish university, in a sense. Cool. Anyway, the next question comes from Vittorio Monti from Brazil. And Vittorio is starting school this semester, awesome, at the Kajaani University of Applied Sciences, doing his master's in international business. Nice. And he's saying, hey Oliver, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. Hopefully you're doing well as well. And by the way, hopefully you're staying safe. I have a good friend who is actually half Brazilian, and he's actually going to Brazil next week to move in with his girlfriend, or move back in with his girlfriend. And he says that the situation there is quite difficult at this moment. So hopefully you're safe. I have everything ready to go to Finland next semester and to start my bachelor's studies. I wanted to thank you for all the videos and the community that you've created to help everyone who is looking to study in Finland. First of all, you're more than welcome. I'm very happy to hear, or I'm very happy if the videos and the community has actually been of service when you've been deciding where to actually go and how to actually apply. That's awesome. I have one specific question about driving licenses in Finland. I already have a driver's license from my country, and I wanted to know, how does the process to get a Finnish license work? Thank you, Oliver, and have a good day. So this is actually a very good question, and we have been talking about this on the channel previously, and I have to mention that I don't remember exactly. I think I might have actually given out some bad information to some people. So Alexi, if you actually remember how this goes, could you actually explain this super briefly in the chat? Basically, to let everyone know, Alex is basically building a really interesting course on relocating to Finland. Everything that you need to know about the apartments, residence permits, driver's licenses, municipalities, addresses, postal, stuff, everything that you need to know. And I'm not sure, Alex, if you have been looking into this recently. If you have, could you let us know in the chat, super quick summary how this works. If you have a driver's license from abroad, how do you use it in Finland as a student? Because I don't remember, and I know a website where they actually talk about this, but I don't remember where to find the information on the website, so I cannot go there right now, unfortunately. While waiting for Alexi to hopefully say something about this, and if he's still online, and before jumping into the next question, super quick drink, and of course, I would highly appreciate if you guys are getting value out of the stream to hit the like button. We're currently at 28 likes, so that's actually quite low for this point in time. So it would be awesome to get to around 35 likes before the end of the stream. Awesome. Anyway. The next question comes from Sai Dharmesh, who comes from India. And Sai is already starting school this semester, doing his master's in engineering. And the question is, I heard HOAS would start giving rooms to students in August. Oh, okay, actually we got already this super quickly. However, I might come to Finland in October or later. Do you think I would still get a room? Or should I take a room in August even though I would arrive much later? Please advise. Yeah, don't take a room already in August. That's basically a waste of money. The thing is, you should need... The fact that you are not coming in August or September, it's not the end of the world. Rather, just you simply need to be able to remember to apply for an apartment on time. So basically, with HOAS, they have a rule that you can apply to an apartment at earliest 4 months before you need to move in. So just make sure to apply on time as soon as possible, and you will and you will maximize the chances of you getting an apartment when you actually move in or come to Finland. The next question comes from Sabur. Again, reminder, from Pakistan, starting school this semester, doing a degree in chemistry. And the question is, if my currency is something other than the euro, on mine and my sponsor's bank statements, will this create an issue while applying for a residence permit? That's actually a very good question. I do have a slight feeling that Migri would require you to have a number for euros. So you basically need to how do you say, what is it called? You need to exchange the currency to euros on the date of the bank statement so that they can actually assess the amount of money in euros. However, I don't remember if this was the case. I have a slight feeling that they mentioned this somewhere. The reason why you would need to give the exchange for the currency on the day of that you submit the bank statement, or the day that you withdraw the bank statement, was because if there's large changes in the currency for whatever reason, not likely, but still, then that would give you a realistic picture of the amount of money that you have. So please make sure that, okay, let's put it this way. What I would recommend you to do is to anyway attach a exchange number showing how much you actually have of your currency in euros on that date, just in case. If Migri requires you to do this, they will let you know and they will contact you if they need more information. However, it will take a bit more time to process your application if they need to ask you for additional information. So being proactive and having this information already in the application might be a good thing. Mina Milistic asking, do you need to show a bank statement for a master's? Yes, you need to show no matter from where you come from, you need to show that you have enough funds on your bank account for you to actually live in Finland without relying on a job while you're studying. The immigration service in Finland specifies on the exact numbers and how much money you need to actually have. How much money you actually have on your bank account when you apply. Shrujit, Krishna actually saying, Oliver, you started before, early. Actually, I might have need to apologize to you. For some reason, during a few weeks ago, I actually gave the wrong time for people on both on Discord and on the YouTube community tab. I mentioned that the stream would start at 7:30 p.m. That was actually the wrong time. I had a typo there. So the stream would always start at 5:30 p.m. Helsinki time. So I'm sorry about that. That was actually my mistake. I do apologize. But from now on, 5:30 p.m. always starting the stream. Mina also asking, on what basis do Finnish universities allot scholarships? This is something that they do not publicize. Basically, on a competitive basis, only the best applicants get them. And what constitutes the best applicants, they do not specify. However, if you, for example, if you are required to submit your GPA, your GREs or your SATs or your CV or your motivation letter or your whatever, of course, all of this is going to be, compared, and you're going to be scored on some kind of a system. I have no idea what the system might be and how the scoring system works. However, there are many things that are taken into account, and then only the best applicants are going to be allotted scholarships. Then the next question comes from Disha from India. Disha is still in high school, but is interested in any universities doing a bachelor's in business and administration. International business or 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 IBL. I don't remember what OR is, but something about business administration. And the question is the business administration in international business in the universities of applied sciences about 3 years or 3.5 or 5 years? So it's usually a bachelor's degree at a University of Applied Sciences is 3.5 years. It's definitely not 5 years, but it's usually not 3 years either. So it's a bit longer than a bachelor's degree at a university, which is 3 years. So as a general rule of thumb, I can say that at a University of Applied Sciences, any kind of a bachelor's degree is 3.5 years. Again, there are exceptions, but this is a good rule of thumb. Then, Mina asking, does extracurriculars play a major role in university applications? No, not at all whatsoever. In Finland, we actually don't look at the extracurriculars. In my understanding, they don't, impact your application almost at all, or almost at all. I have not heard that they would impact your application in any way. So most likely none, no impact whatsoever. The next question from the forum comes from Laura B. Laura B comes from Spain and is starting school this semester at the University of Helsinki doing a master's in genetics and molecular biosciences. That's cool. All right, nice. That's really cool. The question is, how do the lecturers evaluate their students and how are the exams? Lecturers evaluate students mostly based on assignments and exams. However, some professors also take into account class activity. So especially if you have a smaller class, this is not usually the case with if you have big math lectures where you have 100 to 300 people. However, if you have small groups like 10, 30, 20 people, then usually being active and participating in the discussions in the class, that is a part of the grade. However, this is usually like 10, 15, 20% max of the total grade. Usually in Finland, this is again a general rule of thumb. It depends on the university and the course itself. But a general rule of thumb that the exam is at least 50% and that you need to get at least 50% of the exam even to pass the course. So basically that means that if you get 50% of the exam, you might be able to pass the course, but if you get 0 out of all the assignments, you will not pass the course. So for example, if the course grading is 50% the exam, 50% everything else, then you would need to get enough points combined with while also getting at least 50% from the exam in order to pass the grade. Exams in Finland are of course, it depends on the field, the level of the course, the school, etc. However, in my personal experience, and actually Alexia has been talking about this as well, and you can correct me if I misstate you, Exams in Finland are more about understanding and applying the concepts that are being taught during the courses. So in Finland, there are very few times when you need to learn stuff, a lot of information by heart for a multiple choice exam. You usually have multiple choice exams more at the start of school, less so in masters, but more at the start of a bachelor's degree. Mostly because if you have 350 people in the class, the professors have to simplify the grading, so they have to be able to grade the exams faster. So multiple choices are easier. However, for example, for my masters, I don't think we had a single multiple choice exam in my masters. Most of my masters exams were they were essays or these kind of short essays, like describe this phenomena in 200 words or less, or something like this. And actually, there's a good point here. So if you have, in Finland, what is really, really important is that if you have a defined limit to your answer, if you have an essay, and it's saying that, okay, 3 pages or 3,000 words or, something like this, please follow that very, very strictly. At least do not go over, because you will lose points. Some professors even fail you if you go over. So please stay within the allotted space or number of words if you have an essay question with a limit. So that's something. But yeah, so I think that the biggest thing that you should take away is that in Finland, if you're used to studying to exams by learning everything by heart, by cramming books into your head, that's the exact wrong way to go in Finland. Rather, you need to be able to understand and apply the information that you learn. Of course, you need to learn something by heart. You might need to, especially if you learn, genetics. You need to, learn chemistry. There's a lot of numbers and definitions, etc., that you need to learn by heart. However, you most likely need to also understand and apply the information instead of just learning, on page 5 there was this thing and it said this and this person said this and the year was this, etc. Nothing like this. Just don't. It's completely useless learning this way. All right, the next question comes from John from the US. Awesome, cool, that's really cool. Welcome, John, to the stream. Awesome to have you here. John is starting school this semester at the KAMK University of Applied Sciences, doing his bachelor's in business. Awesome. The question is, hi, Oliver. I will cut straight to the chase. That's very welcome. So I applied to student housing in Kajaani, but I haven't received an answer from the agency yet. I was, however, a little bit picky. I asked for a shared apartment, set a maximum rent that I can afford at 260 euros per month, and asked for a near certain district on my application. If they don't have any apartments that meet my standards, what is the next steps? Do they call me to suggest something else? I'm a little worried, to be honest, because I've sent my online application a week ago. All right, so John, really good question. There's a couple of points here. First of all, it's good that you kind of realize that you have been a bit picky. What I would actually do at this point, especially since you only applied a week ago. So you're actually worrying about the timeline too much. So since you only applied a week ago, I would actually go back and change your application. If you are able to update your application, perfect. That's really great, because that doesn't impact your spot on the queues. However, if you cannot update or change your application, I would actually redo your application and be more. I would be more open for other apartment types as well. The reason being is that if you are too picky, the apartment providers are not going to call you and offer something else, especially if they don't have anything available. So this is why so this is the reason why I've been saying to everyone for years now, that you don't be too picky, because the pickier you are and the more things the more things you require from the apartment, the less likely it is that you will actually be offered an apartment in the first place. Because again, for example, I happen to live in a very nice area at a Hoas apartment. There's actually only 2 buildings there, or technically 4, 5. technically 5. They're basically 2 separate. Never mind. Two building complex, and there's actually not that many apartments there altogether. And the thing is that if there's thousands and thousands of apartments that HOAS has around Helsinki in other areas. And if someone would apply to just this area, the Jätkäsaari district that I live in, it is highly likely that they will not be offered any kind of an apartment, because they have set their minimum requirements, and HOAS will follow those, and they will only have offer your apartment when you are in such a spot in the queue, and when they have a free apartment from that area. So kind of going back, go and change the application if possible. I would not worry about the application, the fact that you applied a week ago. It's going to take much more time for them to get back to you. Usually student apartments take at least a month for you to get an offer. Also do note that the semester for you starts in late August, so it's only half point in June right now, so you have over 2 months to go. So I would not panic at all at this point. You're going to be just fine. Just change the application, be a bit more flexible in terms of the requirements, and I would not worry about this. Great question. Good. It's a good fact that it's great that you kind of woke up to this reality, because if you had waited for a month, then it would be another case altogether. Laura, you're much welcome. Thank you very much for the great questions. If you have any more questions, just fire away. We're going to be here for maybe a half an hour. So there's actually not that many questions in the form. So if you guys have any questions, post them into the Google form right now, and you will have a great chances of actually getting your question answered. Anyway, the next question from the form comes from Karthik, who comes from India, and Karthik has not yet chosen the school, but is applying to do a bachelor's in business or computer sciences or accounting. Good options. And the question is, what are the university timings, and how many hours do we have to spend in the university at the campus on a daily basis, like in Arkkada or Metropolia or Tampere University of Applied Sciences? Absolutely no way for me to say how many hours you need to actually spend in a specific school. However, I actually just a while ago I have to check this. Did I actually upload it already, or is it coming up? Yeah, actually just a while ago. So bear with me for a second. So actually, just a while ago, I actually uploaded a video called "How much time do university studies take in Finland?" And in this video, I actually calculate the hours that you on average have to spend at university, at the campus, or studying in general. So not at the campus, but the courses, the lectures, doing your homework, studying for the exams, doing your assignments, etc. And I don't remember the hour by heart, but it's basically, if you want to study well and you want good grades, it's a full-time job. So you have to spend around 8 to 10 hours a day studying during the weekdays in order to do well in school. So it's a full-time job. But it doesn't really depend on the school that much. All right, the next question comes from Nicholas from Malta. And Nicholas is starting school this semester, doing his master's in biology at the University of Helsinki, and saying, I just confirmed my HOAS apartment. Yay! Awesome. And I'm going to be in Finland in mid-August. Would those 2 weeks before the semester starts be enough to settle in, or should I come earlier? Oh, 2 weeks is going to be just fine. Just make sure to have some kind of a plan. The biggest thing for you is going to be to get furniture into your apartment if you got an unfurnished apartment, which is most common. And then 2 weeks to just roam around the city, get used to Helsinki, and go and check out the campus and how to actually commute there, get your public transportation ticket, etc. So two weeks is going to be just fine. And by the way, guys, everyone who is coming to Helsinki in August or September, I will definitely want to organize some kind of a meet and greet where we could actually, for example, go spend an evening outside somewhere, assuming that everyone is healthy and the situation in Helsinki is still as good as is getting, going where we are expecting it to go. So for example, if you're interested in this kind of a meet and greet, let me know in the Discord server. Again, if you are not yet a member of the Discord server, there's a link in the chat right now, and we can organize something when you guys are in Finland. Awesome. But yeah, cool. Hoas apartment and coming here in August. Nice. Then the next question comes from Seshnag, who comes from India as well. And Seshnag is starting school this semester at the University of Oulu, doing a master's in product management. Cool. And the question is, I come with 8 years of experience, all of it with a big Finnish conglomerate. Cool. And I'm trying to contact my peers for an early internship opportunity, but I have failed to gather their attention so far. I consider that with my years of experience and a master's, when I finish, I will have a distinct advantage to land a minor mid-senior role in different companies. Is my hope far-fetched in your opinion? Given that I'm very active in LinkedIn, I have failed to grab attention for at least a talk on internships. So of course, there's so many things that I could talk about here. However, I would say that don't even try to get any kind of an early stage internship. With your experience, I would actually just go directly for part-time jobs. The question about having what kind of a seniority level, it's very difficult to say because I don't know the company. I don't know, even if I had the company name, I would really need to look into it. But what I recommend that instead of trying to contact your peers on LinkedIn, actually simply just stay in contact or contact your local HR manager at the local offices where you're working right now. Tell them that you're going to Finland and that you would love to keep working with the company in Finland as well, and ask whether they could be able to help you connect with the Finnish HR team locally in Oulu. I think that's the best bet for you, because going through the internal processes here would be valuable. Of course, you have to also take into account that if you have a big Finnish multinational, of course, their HR managers in different countries most likely don't know each other, so it's not going to be that easy, and it might be that they simply guide you to apply to any of the open job positions through the corporate HR system. Unfortunately, many of the big multinationals are a bit stiff in their corporate structure and the processes, but this is the way it is. However, I think your plans are completely fine. They're totally reasonable. And what I would recommend you to do is to try to get some kind of a part-time position at the Oulu offices as soon as possible, so that you can kind of work yourself up already during your studies, so that when you graduate as a master's, the local HR people already know you there, your colleagues already know you there, they understand what you know, how much your experience actually helps you, etc. So it makes it much easier to kind of pitch yourself or argue yourself into a mid-senior position after graduating as masters. However, do note that graduating as a master's is not in itself a merit to work in a managerial role, because so many people in Finland do a master's. Rather, you need to really stick with this work experience and understanding, and the fact that you understand how the company works, the fact that you already have experience in the offices in India, and you need to kind of create some kind of a business case or pitch yourself to your superiors on why would you be more valuable as a mid-senior staff member than someone else. So I would say that this would be the best way for you to approach this. Great question. Let's see. Jet Koti kind of having a lot of really good points to the questions about apartments here, saying apply for everything possible in Hoas. Best advice you can get, because I wish that everyone gets an apartment from Hoas. Otherwise you are screwed because of the real estate situation in Helsinki. That's true. It's because the prices in shared apartments in private market will be crazy high, and Hoas has a lot of applications. I think getting an apartment that that is according to your need is a blessing. That's true as well. And I don't even think about studies right now from HOAS, studios, so one room apartments from HOAS, because they have crazy long queues. Absolutely true. I think Jet Koti has very good points. Totally agree with him. Absolutely. I would definitely follow his advice. Mina Milistic also saying in the chat, my GPA is pretty decent. I was worried about the extracurriculars since you cleared that. Yeah, so Mina, always take into account that, of course, I have never gone through admission processes myself because I'm a Finnish national. I have a different application process compared to you guys. In addition, I have never been on the other side. So I have never been admitting students into Finland. I've never worked at a university admission offices. So it's all of the information that I have is based on my personal experience and the research and kind of the internal information that I have, but it's still limited. So it might be that extracurriculars, especially if you are asked to submit your CV, sure, then you could have your extracurriculars in your CV. However, I don't see any reason why they would emphasize those heavily, because if you are asked to submit your CV, most likely the university is interested in your work experience in the field, not your extracurriculars. This way. And the reason why I say that extracurriculars don't usually have any kind of impact on your bachelor's applications is specifically because most universities in Finland do not require you to submit your CV for your application. They mostly just want your high school diploma. They want to do your SAT scores or something else. They need your language proficiency tests and maybe some kind of another aptitude or entrance exam tests. So, but most of them don't require any kind of a CV or any information about your extracurricular. So that would tell me that it's not that important. Chaminda asking, hi, is it mandatory to do the IELTS to do a master's? Depends on the school. Please check out the university websites for more specifics. The specific application requirements for master's programs in Finland depend always on not only on the university, but also on the program that you're applying to. So, for example, if you want to apply or if we look at Aalto University, which is one of the best universities in Finland, they have multiple schools. So they have, for example, a business school, and then they have a school of arts and design. So if you, for example, want to apply for a master's in business, let's say a master's in finance, the application requirements for that program are completely different compared to a master's in arts and 3D design or something like this. Then on the other hand, applying for a master's in marketing is completely different from master's in finance. So please check out the university websites for more specific information on the program websites. Cool. The next question comes from Anil from India, and Anil is applying to the University of Oulu to do a master's in computer sciences. And the question is, if my visa or my residence permit got rejected, can I apply again for a second time? And is there any kind of an effect of first visa rejection on the second time? Unfortunately, Anil, this is a good question. I have no idea. This is something that the Finnish Immigration Service does not mention on their website. And since I don't have any insider information, absolutely no way for me to give you an answer, unfortunately. The next question comes from Srujit from India again, and the question is, hey Oliver, I wanted to know about courses to do after I'm done with my last year of schooling. So I took accounting, economics, English, math, and business in my last year. Can you guide me for career options with these subjects? And by the way, you have been very helpful since the last 4 months. Thank you very much. First of all, thanks for the positive feedback. That's highly appreciated. Again, so this always depends on what you want to do. So for example, you're talking about that you want to do a bachelor's in accounting, business, or economics, 3 completely different things. So for example, business, that already includes accounting and economics inside of it. So there are no degrees in business. They're always more specific. So for example, if you want to do a bachelor's degree in business administration, that already includes a lot of stuff inside of it. And for example, if you want to do a bachelor's in Aalto University, you have different choices like international business, I think marketing might have been one, etc. So it's very difficult to say because there's so many different options that you can take. However, let me just give you a super quick guide, for example, for the Aalto University bachelor's programs. So if you just Google Aalto Bachelor's English, go to bachelor's programs, this one, the one that starts with www.aalto.fi, not the one that starts with into.aalto. This is the wrong link. Go to aalto.fi link. And from here, go downwards, you get the programs in business. You have a bachelor's in economics, and then you have a bachelor's in international business. These are basically the two English taught bachelor's programs in business that you can do at Aalto University. However, when you do a master's, you have way more choices at Aalto. Then in other schools, you have other options as well. However, it all depends on what do you want to do when you're grown up. Do you want to work in the banking sector? Do you want to be a management consultant? Do you want to actually be an accountant? Do you want to be a economist? Do you want to work in marketing? Do you want to be a YouTuber? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? All depends on what do you actually want to do. And I would need to know quite a bit more before guiding you towards a specific program, because that will set you on a path towards a specific direction that is pretty difficult to change afterwards. So that's why, I would need more information. What I recommend you to do is to simply start going through the different university websites and just reading about the bachelor's programs that they have, what they include, what kind of courses they have, and trying to kind of figure out what do you actually want to do. The cool thing, for example, just if I just go back, if I go back to the Aalto University website, the cool thing about Aalto University, and this also is the same for other universities as well. Many of them have kind of career opportunities listed on the program website. So if you, for example, go to bachelor's program in economics, and you go all the way down. Excuse me. Here we have career opportunities. So for example, economics opens up opportunities to pursue a career in major national and international institutions that demand rigorous analytical reasoning and data analysis. So this already tells you what kind of things you might be doing. Most economic students continue their studies at the master's level. Very true. Upon graduation, students move on to securing roles in major companies, government, research, finance, startups, and NGOs, etc. Graduates of economics program typically become analysts, consultants, advisors to policymakers, or researchers in their first jobs. All kinds of jobs. They can work in private equity, finance, banking, consultancy, business administration, etc. So again, what do you want to do after you graduate and grow up? Basically, it's a bit of a cliche. Cool. The next question comes from Ksenia, who comes from Russia, and Ksenia is still in high school, and she's not yet sure which university she would like to study in, but is interested in a bachelor's in astronomy and physics. Very cool. I am a huge fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku, and I love astronomy, especially astrophysics is a big hobby of mine. For example, every time if I cannot sleep, I just turn on Netflix and start watching at different astrophysics documents. Super interesting stuff. I don't understand any of it. I'm really bad at math, and I actually never studied physics even at high school. I had an exception because I studied so many languages, but it's super interesting. So extremely cool. And the question is, which language level is required to apply for an English program in Finnish universities? Is B2 enough, or should I get C1 or C2? How can I prove my level? Which exams are accepted? Ksenia, great question. This depends again on the university itself. Each university has the minimum requirements for applying to study in their programs. And the problem here is that the different language proficiency testing companies use different standard levels. So for example, saying that you know B2 or C1, C2, it's very difficult to say because there's also other options as well, depending on the test. So what I would recommend you to do is to, for example, let me see. Let me see if I can find the program. Just a moment. Just trying to So I'm basically on the, oops, excuse me, wrong graphics. So I'm actually on the website of the University of Helsinki, the Faculty of Science, looking at the bachelor's program in science, which is in English, and then look at the requirements, how to apply. Let's see. Proving your English language skills. Here we go. So you can indicate your language skills with your previous school or university education or by a standardized language tests. So what are which tests are accepted? IELTS, TOEFL, C1 Advanced, or C2 Proficiency, CPE, PTE Academic, a language test at the University of Helsinki, and a National Certificate of Language Proficiency, a university degree in English. There's specific requirements for this, so just check it out first. And or then doing a foreign degree in Finland, which you don't have. But yeah, so basically, again, just come to, for example, the University of Helsinki website. This is just one example out of the many universities. Look at the program. So what I did, I basically just checked out or Googled University of Helsinki Astronomy, and then I found the bachelor's program in science, because they don't have a bachelor's program in astronomy. They have a science program, which then includes topics in this. And then go to how to apply, and then from the side here on the left, guide for proving your English language skills, and then from this page you can find all the information that you need. Hopefully this helps. Very difficult for me always to give kind of specific answers, because it's always dependent on the university itself, so I always need to pull up the websites to help you guys. Anyway, the next question comes from Fabi from Germany. And Fabi is starting school this semester at the Lappeenranta University of Technology, doing his master's in energy technology. Very interesting. The question is, hey Oliver, I'm going to go for one semester to Finland due to a triple degree program with a university in Germany and in Russia. Nice, that's cool. When should I apply latest for the right of residence? I've still not got an admission from LUT, but the German university already confirmed my admission. The second that you actually get the admission confirmation from LUT, start the the process for the right of residence. The thing is that I'm not sure if you can do it before you actually have the admission. So, take this into account. So the second that you actually get the admission confirmation from LUT as well, it should arrive soon, because you already got the confirmation from your university in Germany. Cool. By the way, if Fabi, if you're still online, let me know in the chat at which university do you actually study in Germany, because I did my exchange studies in 2016 at the oh my god, how can I black out? At the Munich University of Technology. At their business faculty. It was very good. So I really enjoyed being at TUM. TUM was what I was thinking about. Very, very interesting university. Really cool. Also, how much luggage and what should I bring to Finland? Your computer, or your computer and all personal electronics. Enough clothing, especially if you have in Germany you still have winter, so winter clothing would be good. Depending on the semester that you come to. If you come for the no, actually never mind, because you will have winter regardless of the semester. Yeah, clothing, personal electronics. Do note that we I think Germany and Finland had the same plugs. Yeah, we actually have the same plugs, so you can actually bring all we have the same sockets, so you can actually bring all of your electronics, and they will work here just fine. For anyone coming from abroad where you actually don't have the same sockets as in Finland. So basically, if you want an iPod charger or something like this, we actually have the sockets that look like this, which have two prongs. So if you don't have these in your country, make sure to buy these when you actually arrive to Finland as soon as possible, because you're going to need this. I would not recommend you using too many adapters. Just get yourself, local plugs or the what are these called? Chargers, so that you can actually get your devices charged in Finland. By the way, Alex is saying right of residency registration requires that you have received your admission letter, as far as I know. Yeah, so I was most likely correct. So that's cool. And then Xenia saying, I'm sorry I asked the same question twice, as I was worried the first Google form wasn't sent. That's fine. Don't worry about it. No problem at all. Then the next question comes from Alexandra from Russia. And Alexandra is already in Finland. That's very nice. Doing her PhD in forestry at the University of Helsinki. That's brilliant. That's cool. Oh, actually, no, sorry, not yet. So the question, I should have read that first. So I'm doing a master's in wood material sciences at the University of Eastern Finland, and I'm a bit confused. How do I apply for a PhD when I graduate? Do universities provide the offers for exact positions? Do I need to come up with my own 4-year project and apply for the project grant? Do you have any advices on this issue? This is unfortunately a topic that I simply haven't had the time to look into too much. A lot of people are requesting for information about PhDs and how to apply, so I will start making videos about this topic at some point. But based on the information that I have gotten from my brother, who is doing his PhD at the University of Eastern Finland, for the application, you basically, it's almost like a job application. However, you need to also, as you mentioned, you also need to have a project plan already when you apply. It's not necessarily going to be the final study topic and the subject. However, you need to have some kind of a plan so that they know that you actually know what you want to study or what you want to research. In addition, depending on the university that you apply to, in this case, you would be applying for the University of Helsinki. Some universities in Finland do fund their PhD students' research for the first year. I think the University of Helsinki was one of these. I don't remember for sure. But please go to the University of Helsinki website. Just Google University of Helsinki PhD funding. You will find the correct page there, and they will let you know whether or not they will be able to fund your research for the first year. However, after that, you will be required to find funding for your research, and the university will be able to help you, at least with, guidance. They will not be able to make the application for you. However, they will be able to kind of give you resources on where to apply and what kind of organizations and funds are good ones for your research. You need to have a project done, and it's basically a job application. So after you have your master's done, or actually before you actually finish your master's thesis, I recommend that you contact the University of Helsinki faculty of forestry, forest sciences, and ask for more information about their PhD programs there. And for example, what kind of things do they look at when they are looking at the PhD applicants? For example, what I would recommend you to do is that if you have not yet started your master's thesis, please remember this. When you actually start your thesis and you're assigned an instructor for the thesis, please let him or her know that you're interested in doing a PhD afterwards, because this way they will be able to give you guidance on the thesis in keeping this in mind. Because if, for example, a lot of instructors, if you just tell them that, okay, I don't have any goals for this, I just want to pass and get out of school, they will take this into account, and they will let you, submit your thesis without, even if it doesn't really get a good grade. However, if you tell them that you want to apply for a PhD at the University of Helsinki, they will basically make you work harder, and they will require more from you from the thesis. So this is a good way to kind of make sure that you get everything out of your thesis, because that's going to be a very big part in your PhD application, if I've understood correctly. Again, big if here. All right, the next question comes from Reinardus Stefan, who comes from Indonesia, and he's still in high school, interested in doing a bachelor's in economics or business management at Aalto University, University of Oulu, or the University of Helsinki. One thing that I can say straight away here, Reinardus is that the University of Helsinki doesn't have a faculty in business. They do have a master's program in economics, but they do not have a faculty in business. So if you want to study business, then it's Aalto University or the University of Oulu. There's also a couple of other universities, but Oulu and Aalto are perfect options. Then questions, a couple of them. Number one, hello, I already discussed about the preparation of going to study Finnish at next year. And maybe I will take a month to study in June, but is it possible to take a time during Christmas month as well as because my high school holidays start in early December? Good question. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard question. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't say here. But I kind of stumbled upon my words, completely blacked out. I can't say anything here. Good question. Unfortunately, I can't comment on this because I'm not sure. I'm not simply sure. Second question, I had already known about the terms of administration, about the total currency that I have to exchange and use for part-time living. So do I still have to show my bank account and provide the identification to the bank? Yes, so if you come to Finland to study from abroad, you need to first of all show that you have the money. You need to have the currency exchange into euros, and then you need to prove the source for the funds that you have. So for example, if they come from from your parents, you need to prove that the money comes from your parents, for example, from their work. So basically you provide a couple of months worth of their pay slips plus their work, some kind of a work agreement or something, in order to prove that the source of the money is legit. Basically, the reason for this, if I understood it correctly, is basically to avoid money laundering, basically, or so that people would spend laundered money on their kids coming to study in Finland. Then 3, I've already begun to study on IELTS and starting to learn the materials. I want to ask about the time should I take for the test when I'm in the 11th grade, because I can only apply for 2 years. Good questions though. So I would actually do the IELTS test as late as possible, because you have to check this from the university websites, but they only accept your IELTS test if it's fresh enough. So if you have done it multiple years before, it might not be valid anymore. So I would do it as late as possible, basically, before you apply to study in Finland. But I would recommend that you actually go again back to the university websites and check the specific details from there, because it depends on the school, and I don't remember the details. Next question comes from Xenia again, and the question is, what language level is required? Oh, sorry, it was the one that you mentioned. A duplicate, never mind. Actually, the last question in the stream comes from from the form, comes from Radu, who comes from Romania, and Radu has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a bachelor's degree in computer sciences or cybersecurity at the universities of Eastern Finland, or at the Southeastern Finland University of Applied Sciences at the Mikkeli campus. Cool. And the question is, hey Oliver, I've been trying to up my range of available jobs for me since I'm a dropout in the second year on my former college, and I was curious if I would have to pay while studying in Finland despite being a European Union citizen, since I wasn't since I wasted the previous years in my former college. If you are a member or a citizen of a European Union state, you do not have to pay tuition fees in Finland, period. There's no other things to consider. Your age doesn't matter, your prior degrees doesn't matter, the fact that you dropped out of school doesn't matter. Simply, if you are a citizen of a European Union or a European Economic Area country, you do not have to pay tuition fees in Finland. That's simple. Cool. Awesome. thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. We have been going on for 2.5 hours. We're actually out of questions in the form. Sorry, there's actually one question in the form. Just came from Srojit. I'm sorry. I will get to your question next week. I'm actually getting a bit tired, and I still have a bit of work to do before tomorrow. So thank you so much for hanging out for almost 2.5 hours. Of course, as always, if you got some value out of the stream, I would highly appreciate if you could, tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm. That would help me a lot. Of course, again, if you are getting value out of the channel overall, and if you would like to support the channel, I would really appreciate if you would not only consider joining as a member on the channel. If you click the join button under the video right there, you can actually see the different perks of being a member on the channel. In addition, since I'm actually building a course on job hunting in Finland. If you are interested in learning how to, find a job really fast in Finland, there's a link to the waiting list for the course in the chat. The course is not yet ready, but you will be the first one to know when the course is actually ready and online. So if you're interested, there's a waiting list, again, link in the chat, and I would highly appreciate that. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out, guys. I will get back to the questions that you have left in the forum next week, in the live stream next week, and I will have a couple of really cool videos coming up next week as well. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.